So we're going to get started. I want to introduce Facu from Yearn. Welcome to DEFIICON. First of all, where are you based out of?
Hi, thank you. Right now I'm based on Barcelona in Spain.
You're Barcelona. Okay,
I'm
very
Argentinian.
Good. You're Argentinian. Okay, very good. Welcome. I'm very excited to have you here. Really interested in wanting to know what you have to say. Obviously, the platform that you're working on is very exciting and making lots of news. If you can, and do you have a slide deck that you're going to share with us?
Yeah, please. I need to share the screen.
Okay, great. So on the bottom, you'll see an icon with an up arrow. I'm going to release this right now here. There's an up arrow. You can use that to share. What I'd like to hear, one, is a little bit more about you as a person, your background, your career, what you've been up to in your life as it relates to blockchain or DeFi and things like that. Then what's your role with Yearn? How did you get engaged with them? How are you started to work with them? And then we can jump right into your presentation, and we'll go for about 20 minutes. Be comfortable, and we'll get some questions. I've got a bunch of questions, and we'll get some questions from the audience.
Okay, it's cool. Yeah, it's cool. Well, my background, I come from the BTC industry, the Bitcoin industry. I got interested in blockchain 4 years ago, and I started with a Bitcoin farm. But then I decided that Bitcoin was not enough. I really liked the Ethereum blockchain because of programmable money. And when I got into Ethereum, it was the year. So I found Yearn, and I got in love with the community sense of Yearn, the contributors, and how it's something like open source and money all in the same project. So I got in love with that and started working with them since then. I started slowly, and right now I'm the project manager for vaults and strategies. So it's quite an exciting role. It's everything is something new. I work with the strategies and the developers all the time. We have really bright minds. I'm really happy with the team we have. So yeah, it's really exciting to work there, guys.
Great, very exciting stuff. So you can click on the icon on the bottom. It says the share screen. It's a arrow.
Sure.
You can do that. And then maybe you can tell us what Yearn is at a high level. Like, what is Yearn? And then go into your presentation.
Yeah, I will talk about composability. Not only composability in Yearn Finance, because Yearn Finance, it's like Yearn Finance main stuff is composability, but Yearn composability in general. Because I think that composability is like a fancy word we hear all the time, but sometimes we don't really know what it is. So I will just talk about composability. So the first step of composability that I found is this one. This one is something a lot of people doesn't know. It's that the luggage with wheels, it's part of composability. In the 60s, in the 50s, the luggage already existed and the wheels already existed. But the luggage with wheels, it didn't exist. And it's just a combination of those two items that already existed. And the sum of those items is much more than just the sum of them. So a guy named Bernard in the 70s created the luggage with wheels. Then if we come to traditional finance, we also find composability. Stripe, PayPal, they also enable composability for developers, enabling people to interact with money through APIs and through code, and to make it easy to integrate e-commerces with money that didn't exist before them. So that's really cool. But there's some stuff that the traditional finance is missing when we're talking about composability. What they are missing is transparency, trustlessness, and those are the things that Ethereum can offer us. So after that little intro about composability and stuff that we all know and real life stuff, let's talk about DeFi composability. Composability in decentralized finance. Nowadays, when we talk about composability, we talk about money Legos. So when I started reading about money Legos, I said, but what are those money Legos? What are money Legos? So this is what they are. Money Legos are just protocols that you can do stuff with them. Yearn Finance is one of them. MakerDAO, Curve, Aave, Compound, just to name a few. Uniswap, just to name a few popular protocols. So the idea is that you take the output of one of the protocols and you use it as the input of the other one. So you can do many things at the same time. You can reuse the output of some protocol. We'll see more examples when we are more advanced in the presentation. So here it's a typical example of composability. You have a wallet and you have ETH. You deposit it into MakerDAO. You withdraw or you mint DAI that you can deposit into Compound. That's the level of Compound, and you earn interest. That's really good, really, really good, because you started with ETH and you are exposed to the ETH upside that's going to increase in price, but you can use DAI to get more interest because Compound gives you more interest if you deposit DAI. This is just an example. So going forward, this is a more weird example because I want everyone to know what you can do with composability. If you know the token socks give you access to a pair of unisocks. You can deposit that into a unit protocol. You can withdraw USDP, and you can deposit the USDP into Curve to earn fees and rewards. What I'm saying with this and the previous, there's a lot of stuff you can do with composability, and this is manual composability. You are doing it by yourself. You can do it. But that was not enough. So to continue with composability and to do it in one step, you can use an existing application. It's called Combo. This application enables you to do like a template for your whole composability schema. Okay, and for me, this is an interface that lets you see how composability, how the output of one protocol is the input of another one. So this one, the only thing it does is to swap ETH for DAI. You can see one ETH is 1,480 DAI, more or less, and that's the input of Curve. And you get the 3 pool CRV. It's the pool token that it's then the input to Yearn Finance vault, and that with a bunch of approves and a transaction, you get all that. You push a button and you get from ETH to a deposit into a Yearn vault. This is semi-manual. You set all the steps by hand, and it gives you access with ETH to Yearn vault. So what's the problem with manual composability? One of the problems is the interest rates. They change. You want to deposit into Yearn, or you want to deposit into Compound, and then you want to deposit into Aave because the interest changed and it's better there. And to find those changes, that needs dedication. Dedication is time, and time is money. And also gas costs. Gas in Ethereum is really, really, really expensive lately. So to save gas, you gotta do it in batches. You have to take a lot of money and deposit it. If you want to do like small investment and you want to do it manually, it's capital inefficient or it's too expensive to deposit and withdraw. So let's take a look at the lending rates. Just to take an example, I took DAI and USDC. These rates are from yesterday. I updated them, and you can see how different providers have different rates, and it's not just a little different, like 1 point or 2 points. If you see DYDX, it's more than 40%, and Compound and Aave, it's less than 10. Okay, I'm not here to evaluate if it's the risk and all that stuff. Just it's different, and they change every single day. Because if you take a look at the 30-day average, it's pretty different from the rate of the day. So let's move forward. These were gas prices last week. So if you are a small investor that want to deposit $1,000 and you have a gas price of 1,000 GWay to deposit, it's going to be impossible. It's going to cost you like $50 or more to deposit into any of these protocols, and that's really, really, really prohibitive for some small investors. So, and dedication, this is the solution. The solution is to get the money Legos, put them together, and leverage composability. And this is what we started doing at Yearn. The first thing we started doing was called Earn. That it's a vault. A vault, it's like a box, like a piggy bank that you deposit your tokens, and the protocol itself searches for the best rate and deposits into that protocol. So there you don't have to invest your time, because the protocol does it itself with the programmable money and the smart contracts. And you don't have to spend gas, because the gas, you spend gas, but it's much less, because there are a lot of users that deposited into this big box. And the gas for one user is the same as the gas for 100 users. So you got a lot of savings here. So this was the first approach, and it's fine. It's the first composition of money Legos. As you see below, you will see how they are connected. Then we got to the automatic composability. Automatic composability is the next step into Ethereum composability. Someone deposits into a vault, and then you have a strategy. The strategy can do much more than just lending or just choosing the interest rates. For the example of the strategy below is someone that deposits ETH. It's the example we looked at the beginning. Someone deposits ETH, takes a loan or withdraws DAI, deposits into the Yearn vault, that deposits into Curve, that deposits into another pool of Curve. So all those complex steps that takes time, gas, and technical proficiency are handled by a single smart contract or a bunch of smart contracts that are tied together to do this. And then it comes to multi-composability. What's the issue with a single strategy for your funds? As an example, you deposit DAI or ETH, and there's only one strategy. If that protocol, like MakerDAO or Compound or Aave, no matter which one, is the interest rate goes down, all your funds, all your interest goes down. If you have three different strategies, you can smooth the APY, and you have less risk and a better APY. That's the idea of having multiple strategies and with multiple ratios. So different amounts of capital that we evaluate with the risk and the interest rate they provide are allocated in each strategy. And each strategy has several money Legos that are interconnected to provide the base APY. So this is a real life example. So you can see how composability can be leveraged like to the maximum. It's the DAI vault actually. This is all the DAI vault does. The generic lender is lending in DYDX and Cream. It's also using Alpha Omora V2. Tasha has been here in DeFiCon. That's really cool. It's also lending in Comp, doing leverage, and also in the Iron Bank in Cream. So look at all the stuff just the bot can do, and it's doing it with the deposit of a lot of users. So again, saving gas, it's the only way to save gas and to save time. Just to do it in batch with a lot of users. And this is the Composability Square. That's what I call it, because when you think of vaults, you think, okay, that's like the top of the chain, and it's not. You can have vaults depositing in another vaults. So what seems to be the top of the chain becomes just another Lego. So like Yearn Finance is another Lego, and not only for investment strategies and to have a diversified portfolio, but also for partners. Right now we can have partners that connect to our vaults and leverage the code audits or all the advantages we have, and they can use all those feeders themselves connecting Yearn finance as a money Lego, and it's not just Yearn finance. You can see that also DYDX and Aave and Compound, and I'm just naming like the more well-known protocols in DeFi have this functionality. So I believe that composability is the base of Ethereum, the base of DeFi, and it's what helps us build the future of finance. So I propose you to build the future of composability together, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. That was fantastic. Can we leave the slide deck up? A couple of questions. One is,
oh yeah, sure.
And then we'll get some questions from the audience. In terms of the strategies, who defines these strategies? If I wanted to define a strategy, I'm just somebody on the street. Can I define a strategy, or is it only Yearn that defines a strategy? If you go back, you had the screen on. Look at these different strategies. Who can put a strategy together?
Oh, it's actually not Yearn Finance who's designing the strategies. We have a group of strategists. Those are developers that know really well the ecosystem. So what you have to know how to code, and you have to know really well the ecosystem. So yeah, you can build a strategy, and you can, if you reach out with an idea and code. The idea is, because having ideas, I don't want to say it's simple, but you gotta have an idea and you gotta start the execution. Then we can help integrate the strategy into the vault. But yeah, anyone can propose a strategy. Anyone.
Okay, great, thank you. We got a couple questions. One from
Sure.
Joya, founder of FOL. What has been your average ROI for investors? I guess what's been your yields? You're doing a kind of a weighted yield, or you're allocating across a bunch of protocols. How are the yields looking? I guess it depends on different strategies, right? So
yeah, it not only depends on different strategies, it also depends on tokens, different tokens. For example, you will see that you have DAI with 30% APY, and then you have WBTC with 4%, or Wi-Fi with 2%, or it's really volatile right now in DeFi. So I don't know if I can answer that accurately.
Okay. All right. Another question. Mike, founder of Gatsy Ventures. Hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. How does updating the strategies work? Is there a risk of potential exploits as the strategies are updated?
Oh no, because right now with the current scam, strategies are not updated as it may seem, because contracts are immutable. So we can't update a strategy. What we can do is migrate a strategy. So what we do is we put a new strategy in place, and we say to the vault, okay, withdraw all the funds from the strategy A and put all the funds to strategy B. Or we can say withdraw just 10% of the funds from strategy A and put that 10% into strategy B, just to test it. So there's a lot of flexibility. It's not like we update and you can have a bug or an exploit. No, it doesn't work that way. So it's really secure.
Okay. And if a protocol that is out in the market, so you're connecting to a bunch of different protocols, right? You showed Curve.
Yes.
And what's your criteria to figure out which protocol you're going to integrate with, that you're going to allow because you're accumulating all this assets under management, if you will, and now you're basically functioning as an allocator.
Yeah, sure. That's a really good question. First of all, there has to be a strategist that wants to do a strategy with that protocol. And then the protocol has to have, and this is a tricky thing, but has to have some time in the ecosystem. And we have to, we audit, it's not auditing, but we review the code to see that the funds cannot be at risk. So if the contracts are okay for us, and the protocol has has been some time in the ecosystem, and it's a trustable protocol in terms of code, we are going to use it for sure. For sure.
Got it. Cool. And if somebody wanted to speak to, like, in your team around getting protocols included, because I'm getting some messages from some people saying, I want to speak to Yearn. Should I pass them your way? Who do they?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah. They can talk with me, and we can talk with the strategists because Yearn does not work as a corporation. Right. So it's not that someone will tell you, or tell me, hey, do a strategy with this or that protocol. The strategists come up with strategies, and we can suggest stuff, but we don't tell people what to do. They do what they want to do.
Now, in terms of institutionals, are they? I mean, I understand they're engaged, they're using it. Can you shed some light on how they are using Yearn, and what are their requirements, and what does it look like they want this to become for them?
What do you mean by institutions? I didn't get the question.
So like maybe hedge funds or any, not individuals, but organizations with typically larger amounts of money might want to come in, and this becomes like a portfolio management tool for them. Are you engaged with institutionals? Like, are you engaged with like a Fidelity? Are you engaged with a Goldman Sachs? Are you engaged with a larger organization that's saying, hey, this is something that we want to include in our offering and our services, or we want to allocate money into this, and to kind of spread our so they're allocators themselves, and so they're going to allocate some money into this. Do you see that occurring with larger players coming in?
Yeah, I think that will happen. Yeah, I think that will happen. We've seen last week and during the last days some tweets about some famous people saying, okay, that they trust in Bitcoin or in Ethereum, Mark Cuban, Elon Musk, and all that. So I think that will happen. Right now, it's not happening. We don't have a contact with those big institutions or big funds, but I think that Yearn will become a low risk fund, because the fund management here is done by code. It's not done by a person. So that's what's attractive, because you can see what the fund manager is doing actually.
Right. I mean, you effectively are becoming a hedge fund, right? You are basically replicating that function, right? Because a hedge fund, what a hedge fund does is it pools capital, it has certain sets of strategies, and then it allocates capital. Right. The rest is just legal mumbo jumbo, but that's the main function of a fund, right? And you are effectively basically just doing that, obviously in a more open and transparent way. So I mean,
we're doing something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I do. So where do you see Yearn in 2 years, 3 years? Where do you see this going?
That's a difficult question. I see Yearn more integrated with traditional finance, because I think that at some point all DeFi is going to be CDeFi, centralized, decentralized, because being the owner of your keys is a big responsibility. And right now the user experience to use DeFi is not the best for the mainstream user. So I think we need another layer to do some hand holding to users that are not that technical, to put it some way. So I hope we are not only Yearn Finance, but the whole DeFi ecosystem is interacting more with the traditional finance system, so all users can gain access to all these new systems.
Yep, I agree completely. We have a couple more questions, but I'm gonna only pick one because we're kind of running out of time. This is the one I think is most interesting. As a beginner in DeFi, how can I better comprehend the risks associated with different vaults?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a lot of homework.
The risk in smart. Yeah, that's a lot of homework. I think that's the first thing you have to do when you're a beginner. Evaluate risks. The risk in the vault it's the sum of the risks of the protocols it's using. So if it's a new protocol, you may want to stay out of it. So I don't know which one to name now, because we don't have any really new protocols right now. But I think that you should do a lot of homework. It's really hard to evaluate risk. If the APY, for me, the rule, like the general rule is, if the APY is way too high, it's really high, you may want to stay away unless you really know what you're doing. If you see a 5-digit APY, that's going to be really risky. And to evaluate the amount of time the vault's been there. For the vault specifically, the amount of time the vault has been there. If the vault has been there a lot of time, it's for sure it's less risky. If it's a brand new, like when we released the version 2 of the vaults, that was a little bit more risky, because it's like the first moment that it's in public. But anyway, you gotta take into account that Yearn Finance is auditing all the vaults. But I want to remember everyone that audits are not a guarantee that an exploit is not going to be found. So you gotta always be really careful. This is all new stuff, so you gotta be careful.
Right. And whenever we talk about risk, it's the biggest risk is the unknown. Like, we don't know, and no matter what tools you use, it's not going to be able to predict or illustrate what the risks are. And then you get hacked, and then a vector that nobody thought about is used, and boom, people lose money. So by default, all of DeFi is risky, and there's a certain amount of risk that cannot be quantified or eliminated that exists. And so to your point, Facu, that there is you have to know what you're talking about. Anyway, we run out of time for this session. I really want to thank you so much for a great presentation, and giving us your time this morning. Thank you so much.
Thanks to you. It's been really cool being here.
Yep, thank you. Yep.